So, perception, whole story I did, the idea was a man named Harvey Kurtzberg is a genius, far beyond Buckminster Fuller, you know, 4-digit IQ. He figured out how to make people, genetically modify people to have hyper efficient metabolisms. He also came up with other technology. And this technology led the government of this earth to convert a lot of the biological matter into a metal so the plant could act as a superconductor to power all their military applications. So the whole uh, thing of this earth is they're multi-dimensional imperialist, and I can't remember if I called it the dimensional military organization or federation or DMF. Yeah, Dimensional Military Federation. They want to dominate multi-dimension. What the military doesn't know, but Kurtzberg, who managed to insert himself as a leader, is that transmuting the biological matter of their earth into a metal to provide this hyperconductive power has made their earth unstable. It's starting to fall apart. So basically, you know, he's tried to solve it, but the problem is he's a little bit like Reed Richards in that he'll jump to the end and he'll skip the middle points that would have told him this is a bad idea. So he's been trying invading these other Earths, and if their technology advance, which some of these Earths are, as I mentioned one story, they have like Jaegers from Pacific Rim. They're not exactly like humanoid looking. They're more like, they got pincers, so they kind of look like 1950s robots, sort of. But they're piloted, the pilot's in the chest area. And, he takes their tech and he hybridizes it with what he invents. He's trying to create an alternate power source. He's been making plans to move operations, and when we get into the thick of it, especially if it was made into a film, what happens is, the lead character, Mitchell, he gets turned into one of their grunts, so he ends up with like a Slade Wilson enhanced mind and accelerated healing and stuff, just like the rest of their grunts, And with the hyper efficient metabolism, they don't eat as much. They get their energy, from alternate sources, kinetic or solar, and he gets hooked up with remnants of each world's who have not been indoctrinated into the system, who have formed a resistance, And he finds out what they learn, that the DMF's planet is unstable, and it's coming apart, and the government, led by Harvey Kurtzberg, is keeping a secret from everybody, and the military and Kurtzberg are drifting apart, becoming two separate factions. The military is aware of the problem, but all they care about is expansion and more conflict and utilizing the technology that's being developed. You know, they're basically warmongers. They live for killing and stuff. Whereas Kurtzberg, he wants to take the DMF and all of his work and move it somewhere else, and Cult continue his experiments. We find out he's doing all kinds of things, like he's mutilating humans from other worlds in grotesque experiments with cybernetics, genetic manipulation and stuff. So if you really think about it, it's like Donnie Coates' crossover or whatever it's called, mixed with I don't know, Sliders maybe, or maybe what's it, Starship Troopers a little bit. It's how I would describe it. It's kind of like Starship Troopers and crossover did a fusion dance, except for there's no giant bugs. There's just this ever-expanding, multi-dimensional authoritarian regime that has two factions that are going two different directions. And there's this little guy who's in the middle of it, and he's trying to, he's not a hero. That's the thing. He's all about his survival. He'll do whatever ensures his survival. And I think that's what would make it interesting if I had gotten it right in the story, But if it gets adapted and I can talk with the television guys who can actually make it work, that's the whole point, So he's doing the right things in some cases, but for all the wrong reasons. He ends up becoming, when you start realizing, okay, this guy's a selfish asshole. He just saved that person, but only because he sees that person's cannon fodder. But you could say he's like Cyphus Cain. If that explains my whole point and what I originally intended for Perception better. That's what the idea is.